Hey, check one, two. Cool. We are rolling. Looks like we got special guest over here today. Thanks for joining us, Tito. Hopefully he doesn't bark up a storm. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in. So very nice to have you here. We started with we're continuing on with the acts of consciousness and reminding ourselves that consciousness exists within us. So its ability to take action also is our ability to take action. And one of those actions is what is called sthiti, which is sustenance, sustaining. It is the ability to put the effort in for the long haul. To sustain something requires that we maintain. Now, everyone here that has signed up for this immersion has some level of willpower and deep desire inside of them, in order to do the challenging things like step onto your mat 3 days a week and get into your physical body and tone your muscles and learn about it. This is an act of stasis. It's an act of sustenance. It's an act of sthiti. So to sustain our physical health, we need to get on our yoga mat and get in our body, get our muscles active and move our joints. And it's not something that's like, oh, you did it for a month. Cool. Congratulations. Goodbye. It's something that that's the thing about stasis and about sthiti. It's a thing about sustenance is that just like food, if you eat it and it goes in through you, you get that energy and then you release it. It doesn't mean that you did that one time that you can sustain your life. You have to continuously feed the physical body and nurture it in order to give it sustenance so that it can sustain life. Same is true of our muscular system. It's no different. We have to challenge it. We give, just like the digestive system gets challenged by putting food into it, it has to kick on, heat up, and then the digestive fire inside of us, which is stomach acids and whatnot, start breaking down the food in order for us to get the energy from it. Hi, buddy. You need sustenance, some love. Yeah, like our dog. If we have a dog like this cute boy, it's not enough to just give him love one time and then hopefully that sustains him. There has to be a constant nurturing, right? They require all beings require constant nurturing. So our physical body requires that same love, that same nurturing. And so congratulations for continuing this practice so far. Those of you that have made it this far in the immersion and have been getting into your body, it's something to honor about yourself and to, I think recognize and appreciate that you've got that within you and that you've gotten this far. And the reason why is because if you don't look at the win, then we need to create a reward system inside. And what that does is it gives you a little hit of, I believe it's dopamine, that says like, wow, I did a great job. And then we'll crave that dopamine hit again. So then we'll come back to our yoga practice, come back on our mat and practice again. Now, if we don't have that reward system inside, and it's just like kind of a task that we have to do, then stepping onto our mat doesn't have the same addictive quality. And we want being in our physical body to be addictive. We don't want it to be something that we always have to, drum up the willpower and say, okay, I'm going to go and do this today. We only have finite amount of willpower that we can drum up each day for ourselves. It's like anything else. It's an energy inside of us that gets depleted. So we want to make sure that we're not wasting our willpower on something like brushing our teeth, maintaining our physical body, eating. We want to make sure that those things are driven by something deeper, and it could be either instinctual, which is great, but a lot of the times instinct gets overridden by our mind's desires to do things with our life and to procrastinate, sit on a phone. What happens on the cell phone, whether it's email or social media, is we have that dopamine cycle inside of us that we see something and then we get addicted to that. why not get addicted to our physical practice, So create a reward system inside of you that gets addicted to this and says, hey, congratulations for stepping on the mat. Amazing. I'm so glad we did this. I'm glad I feel better. Acknowledge every time when you practice, as you're starting to feel good, recognize that goodness that you've gotten, whether it's in Shavasana or it's just out of a pose, or you're even eventually it gets to the point where you're working really hard in the posture and you're getting that dopamine hit and you're getting that feeling of reward going on for you inside of the challenge. That's ultimately what we're shooting for. And that's how sustenance, or that's how we can sustain our physical practice of yoga for the long run. Okay. So, I once read in one of the Yoga Sutras books that even the yoga practice becomes addicting. And so when I read that in the Yoga Sutras, I decided to give up my asana practice. And I gave it up for a couple of years, even though I was still teaching yoga. And what I found was, yes, I could kick that addiction of my asana practice, but the reward or the benefits of being addicted to my physical practice was way better than not being addicted. And that's because the physical practice gave me health. Now, what we want to get rid of is the addiction to postures or attaining something within the physical practice that is not health. So my opinion on this matter is get addicted to feeling good. Get addicted to sustaining the health of your physical body. Get addicted to feeling good on a daily basis. That is something to me that makes sense. So, that's why I've done these immersions in this format to say like, yeah, it's fine. You can do a practice once every now and then, but that's not going to give you that same sustenance of the physical body. It's not going to give you the same sustenance and movement towards expanding the perspective of the mind, to open it up and de-stress. So sustenance, or sthiti as they call it, or sustaining something or maintaining, this requires constant effort. But if we celebrate the wins and we celebrate the fact that we stepped on the yoga mat, we celebrate our physical body as something that's magnificent. And when we take care of it, if we celebrate that, then we start getting a nice little reward cycle inside of us, chemically speaking, and that keeps us coming to our yoga mat. Now, a lot of you have that, and I'm so glad that you do. But know that it's sometimes it will falter, and in those times, we have to kick back into willpower and keep going. So thank you for stepping into the practice today. Let's continue on the path to King Pigeon, Ekapada Kapotasana. Now, what's required of King Pigeon, it's the one where you grab your foot overhead, any king posture, king dancer, king cobra, whatever it might be. You're always grabbing with your hands the one or both feet behind you. And that's a really challenging thing. It requires tremendous flexibility in the shoulders, even more flexibility in the upper back and spine, okay? Because in something like King Pigeon, and now I'm not warmed up, so this is probably a good time to show you. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. We'll see. When you grab the back foot, you grab it here, but then what we're trying to do is actually rotate the arm up to the sky. Now, I can't move the arm, no matter how strong my external rotators are, unless I move my spine, my back, and my shoulder. I move it back behind me and bring it in as tight as possible. Now, you see how that made it very easy for me to go. Now, I had to have this flexibility of the spine. I have to be able to see how I twisted into this. I was able to move my shoulder back, and I can squeeze my arm into my body. That's what allowed the rotation to happen easily. When I first grabbed it back here, this is where most people make the biggest mistake, is they try to rotate. Now it's possible, but I can feel it straining in the joint itself. Whereas when you get it in tight, then there's a lot more movement. So in order to get the shoulder and the arm in tight to make it easeful, which is the goal, we need to develop the basically an open twist. As you saw, I was twisting towards the and I was lifting, so it's a twist and a back bend. So I'll be working a little bit with that today, and also some shoulder opening with the strap. So please have a strap. Might be using a block, and let's get into it. We're going to first start with what's this posture called? Anahata Asana. So watch me first before you get into it. There's many ways to do it, but essentially it's all fours from the hips to the feet, and then like a down dog from the torso through the hands. And I like to do fingertips. If that's too much for you, do palms. But then here's the thing that's important is we're going to try to develop range of motion in the upper back. So what you'll do is you move your shoulder blades toward each other. They retract, which you remember from the beginning of this immersion. And as they retract, you let your tailbone lift into anterior tilt. Now this is going to send you into an arch position. This might be enough for you, in which case, especially since it's the first one, you can put a block underneath your head at any height that feels good for you. Okay, that might be enough for you. Of course, you can place your forehead on the ground as well. But you'll notice that I keep my shoulder blades retracted here. Remember, I showed you in the beginning pose, in order for me to really rotate the arm, I move the shoulder back. So we want to do that here. Just start preparing ourselves, keep the armpits back. Now, if you don't, if you press the armpits down towards the ground, you might start to feel, well, first in this position, maybe nothing, but you might feel an impingement start to happen behind the shoulder and the deltoid region. Okay, so you want to keep the armpits lifting. That's going to minimize the amount of movement at the glenohumeral joint, which is where your shoulder joint is. We want to maximize your shoulder blade movement by moving them together. So at this point, you should be somewhat tired from lifting the armpits up and moving the shoulder blades toward each other. Hopefully that's the case for you, okay? If not, then you're not lifting your armpits up and moving your shoulder blades toward each other, more than likely. Okay, and if you have a block, you know, remove the block and see if you can keep your armpits lifting. Okay, that's really tiring to keep the armpits lifting while dropping releasing the head towards the ground. Armpits lifted, heart melts, buttocks up, Anahata Asana. Okay, and then crawl your way out of that pose. That should be a nice shoulder warm up. Should be tired for the shoulders right now, hopefully. Move Tito's bed aside. All right, come to all fours, hands and knees, arch the back, look up. Tailbone lifts, belly lifts, heart lifts, I should say. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch, look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch, look up. Exhale. Inhale, arch. Exhale. Inhale, arch. All right, let's start developing that cross body strength. So you're going to take your left heel to the sky and your left arm into a cactus shape. I'm going to show you with my, right arm. I'm going to get closer just so you can see the movement of the shoulder. Now, a lot of times when people move in this position, they move the elbow back, but the shoulder doesn't move too much. So what we want to do is move your shoulder blade. See how the shoulder blade moves in towards the spine? Now, the shoulder head can now move back and you'll get more range of motion out of that. Instead of what most people do is they keep the shoulder blade where it is and they move their hand back and very little range of motion happens. Okay, so shoulder blade in towards the spine, then the arm goes. Okay, so your left heel to the sky, right arm, shoulder blade moves towards the spine, then the arm lifts up. Okay, now kick the left heel to the sky, lengthen the belly, take a full breath in, and release. Second side. Let's take the right leg to the sky, left arm up. Okay, kick the sky with the right heel. Now move your left shoulder blade in towards the spine. We use the muscles called the rhomboids to retract the scapula and lift the arm up. Lift the belly. Take a full breath, lift tall, and release. Let's continue. Right side, right arm, left leg. Inhale. Shoulder blade to the spine, lift tall. Exhale, release. Left arm, right leg. Inhale, shoulder blade to the spine, lift up tall. Exhale, release. Right arm, left leg. Inhale, shoulder blade. Exhale.
Inhale, other side. Exhale. Inhale, right arm, left leg. Exhale. Left arm, right leg. Inhale. And release. All fours arch, look up. Exhale, downward facing dog. In your down dog, you can bend each knee, a little side to side, wag the tail, stretch the side body. And then push your shoulders to your ears, meaning push the ground away. Push your hands into the earth, press the yoga mat to the front, forward, and keep your armpits lifting. Now, as your weight from your arms goes back into your legs, because you're pushing, so you can get your armpits lifted so they're not dropping down, okay? Lift the inner shoulders up. Keeping that, press the backs of your legs apart. Breathe. The armpits should be lifting so there's no pressure in the shoulder joint. Inhale forward to plank pose. Grip your fingers into the ground. Hold. Take a breath in here. Exhale, hold. Inhale. Exhale. Pull the ribs in for one more breath in. Separate your shoulder blades. And exhale, child's pose. All fours, hands and knees, arch and look up. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, forward plank pose. This time lean forward, lower, chaturanga. Slide your, take your hands back and take your palms face down a little wider than your yoga mat with your palms. Place your forehead on the ground. Now lift your left shoulder up away from the ground. Lift your right shoulder up away from the ground. What you'll have to do is kind of allow your shoulders to move slightly towards your ears. So hands slightly closer to the front of the mat than you think. Then moving your shoulder blades together. Keeping your shoulder blades moved together. Now see if you can take your hands up off the ground without losing your shoulder blades moving together. So I usually come to fingertips first. Pull the shoulder blades together, then lift the arms up. Now, from your pubic bone, that's the base of your pelvis, move towards your toes. Press your pubic bone towards your toes. And now, reaching through your toes, root down into the pelvis and lift the heart up. Exhale, release. Keep the arms lifted, shoulder blades together. Inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale, release. One more. Inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale, release. Hands to the ground, come to all fours, hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Bend your knee, open up your hip as you exhale. Breathe into the right waistline. Breathe out. Inhale, straighten the leg. Step right foot forward. Place the back knee onto the ground. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Now hook your thumbs and bend your elbows. Draw your shoulders slightly up. And then like I showed you in the beginning, make sure your shoulder blades move together so your armpits, you can do one at a time. So what I do is I pull my thumbs slightly apart, like I try to pull the hands apart. And that gives the appropriate action in the shoulders. Then you're gonna go up and back, up and back. Now, continuing to go up, and back, the armpits will go back. Now pull the hands apart. Keep a slight bend in the elbow to organize the shoulders a little bit easier. Then maybe reach the arms back behind you. Allow the expansion through the fingers, okay? So really reach back. One more big breath in. Hips forward a little bit more. And release. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Slide the hands wide, fingers round. Soften. Pull the heart forward in front of the shoulders and up. And release. Inhale to all fours. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg to the sky. Inhale. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Full breath in. Full breath out. Straight leg, square the hip, inhale. Step forward as you exhale. Back knee down, inhale, rise up. Hook the thumbs. Organize your shoulders. So I go up and back, and then reach back. You do want your trapezius muscles to turn on. So you do want to squeeze the shoulders up towards the back of your neck while pulling the thumbs apart. Now, if any part of that causes issues in the glenohumeral joint, which is right here, that's what you want to avoid. If you're just feeling muscle engagement around your neck and shoulders, that's a good thing. We want muscle engagement, which sometimes is equated to discomfort for a lot of people who aren't used to working if you're not used to activating a muscle, that can be uncomfortable. Make sure it's not in the joints, okay? So we don't want like in the joints. That's where we don't want any sort of discomfort. That's not a good thing. Take a full breath in. And release. Inhale, plank. Chaturanga. Slide your hands wide, fingertips round. Feet a little wider. Exhale. Move your shoulders up and back behind you. Then pull your heart through and up. Now, once your shoulders are up and back and behind you, then you pull your heart up. Your shoulders eventually move back down away from the ears in this cobra pose, but not until you get the heart, the chest, the rib cage to move between your shoulder heads, so that your chest is the first thing in front, like a proud, cobra, if you will, or a lion. Inhale to all fours. And exhale, down dog. Take the right leg to the sky on the inhale. Step forward as you exhale. Back knee down, rise up. Now this time, you can take your two blocks on either side of your hips, probably on your highest height. Most you're going to feel more comfortable if you point the back foot, and that's okay for right now. You move your hips forward and your belly and back forward. And you want to think of a bow, like a bow and arrow. And the center of the bow is the abdomen. I want to pull the pubic bone and solar plexus away from each other. So reach down and back through your back foot, then reach forward and up through your chest. Okay, so you can support yourself with your arms, moving your shoulders back. Keeping your shoulders back. Some of you might be able to go down a height or two. Press your heart forward and up. Reach your pelvis, the front of your pelvis, down and back. Stretch the abdomen as long as it goes. And release. All right, step to down dog. Forward to plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Slide the hands wide, fingertips round the back. Soften. Pull the heart forward and up. Exhale. Inhale to all fours, hands and knees. Tuck toes, exhale, down dog. Left leg to the sky, inhale. And I think we just stepped forward, exhale. Sorry, apologize. Point the back foot is my suggestion for this round, and take your hands to the blocks, whatever height really works for you. I noticed for me, it's helpful in the beginning to go higher as my body settles into it. Okay, so now I reach my pubic bone, which is the front of my pelvis, down and back, okay? And then my belly forward and up. Those are going to be opposing forces, okay? At the same time, and I'll be fair just to give you an understanding, while I'm reaching my pubic bone down and back, my back knee is pulling forward towards the front knee in order to isometrically engage my inner thigh muscles, the hip flexors here, so I don't overstretch, okay? So pubic bone is going down and back while the back knee is pulling forward and up. Belly lifts up, heart lifts up. Now, if possible, you take your blocks down a height, and I try to move my shoulder heads back behind me so my chest is the highest point. Press down into your hands and press the heart up to the sky. If possible, start to lengthen the chin and look back behind you. I can't really talk like that. Teeth stay closed. 2 more breaths. Lean forward, and release. Okay, put your blocks aside. Down dog. Inhale, forward plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga. Let's do cobra pose again, round the back, inhale. Soften as you exhale, feet a little wider, shoulders up and back. Now pull your heart forward and up, which eventually it comes up above the shoulders. And release. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, down dog. Let's hang here and feel the sensations of the body. Remember that reward system I talked about. In order to sustain physical health, we have to have some healthy connection to the relationship between our physical body, the yoga practice, or whatever it is we do for sustenance. In this case, the yoga practice. There has to be a reward system inside of us that recognizes the joy. Yes, we are challenged by the yoga practice. We hope. That's the point. The asana practice is what challenges us to stay healthy, challenges us to stay strong, to stay flexible, to increase our range of motion, body awareness, right? It challenges us on the best levels so that we get stronger, more flexible, more aware of our physical body. That's what a challenge can do for us. But at the same time, when we are challenged, we have to recognize that as a good thing. Otherwise, we don't want to come back to our yoga practice, come forward to the front of the mat. So most of you are on board with the fact that it's a joyful experience. But sometimes life, life takes over. Inhale, halfway lift. Pause here in your halfway lift. Let's warm up the back muscles. Press the backs of your legs apart so your outer hips engage. Lift the chest. With the chest lifted, lift the head a little bit. Now, is it possible to keep this position? And what you're going to try to do is squeeze your 2 big toes toward each other so that the front of the shins kind of squeeze in. From there, you get a little lighter on your hands and move your shoulder blades together like you're a bird, reaching out to the side. So retract your scapula. Full breath in. Full breath out. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. Shoulder blades together and release. Relax. Maybe you can bend your knees, maybe not, up to you. I'll leave that to you for now, but take your hands behind your back, interlace the fingers. Let's do some opening of the pectorals and serratus muscles. So move your shoulder blades toward each other as you reach the arms back behind you. Hands to the hips, arch and rise up. All right. Tadasana, or sometimes known as Samastiti, which is stasis.
Again, sustenance, the ability to maintain. We have creation as one of the acts of consciousness. We've been fortunate to benefit from that act of consciousness because it created us. Now we're in that sustenance period for an indefinite period of time. So may we take full advantage of maintaining this body, keeping it healthy, keeping it not only healthy, but also awake, aware, strong, flexible. May we sustain this body steady. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana.
Half lift, inhale. Exhale, left foot back. Back knee down. Pull the back knee forward. Inhale, rise up. Press the belly and ribs. Even take your thumbs under your armpits like this. Lift up and try to press your rib cage up to the sky. Then reach your arms from cactus position. Sorry, go to cactus first. Now shoulder blades together. Then reach your arms back behind you. Press your heart forward, ribs forward. Lean the front knee forward. Take a full breath in. Lift the heart up. Exhale, hands to the ground. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga. Round the back, inhale. Soften.
Inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale, release.
All fours, hands and knees.
Exhale, down dog.
Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward, exhale. This time, high lunge, inhale.
Open up, warrior two. Let's warm up the shoulders. Inhale, externally rotate the arms. Lift the heart. Exhale, internally rotate the arms.
Bow forward.
Inhale, externally rotate the arms. Lift the heart. Exhale.
Inhale.
Exhale.
We'll do two more. Inhale.
Exhale.
Inhale.
Exhale.
This time on the inhale, externally rotate and reverse warrior.
Exhale right into side angle position.
Take your arm, reach it up overhead. You're gonna move this way again. Inhale, reverse warrior. Big reach of the arms. Expand your arms.
Again, side angle.
Slow and steady. Big reach of the arms. Again. One more. Inhale. One more back, that is.
Exhale, hands to the ground.
Pivot the back heel up, step forward on the inhale. Exhale and bow. Inhale, rise to the sun.
To the heart, exhale.
Inhale, rise.
To the earth, bow.
Half lift, inhale. Right foot back, exhale. Back knee down, inhale, Anjaneyasana. This time you're gonna take your thumbs under your armpits and try to be supportive to your rib cage. So your hips can go forward, front knee goes forward, belly goes forward, but the rib cage here, it lifts up. Try to inflate it and expand it upwards. So you use your thumbs under your armpits to give that little rise. And then move into a cactus shape. Carefully don't lean too far back. That'll be compressive on the spine. So lean your body weight forward. Then reach your hands back. You don't have to reach your heart back. Heart goes up. Hands go back, okay? Press the low back forward, belly forward. Press the heart up. One more breath in. And release. Very well. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga. Slide the hands wide. Inhale, round the back. Soften. Heart forward and up. And release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck toes, exhale, down dog. Let's enjoy one breath in. And an exhale out. Left leg to the sky. Step forward. High lunge this time. Inhale, rise. Open up, warrior two. Let's continue to awaken the shoulders. Inhale, internally rotate, round the spine. Exhale, externally rotate. Arch the spine. Inhale, internally rotate, round. Exhale, externally rotate the arms, lift the heart. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. Now on the inhale, reverse warrior. Big reach of the arms. Exhale, side angle, preparation. Big reach, big, big, big. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, side angle. Reverse. Hands to the ground. Back heel pivots up. Inhale, step forward. Hand bow, exhale. To the sunrise, Urdhva Hastasana. To the heart, Samastiti. Stasis. Inhale, reach up. To the earth, bow, Uttanasana. Half lift, inhale. Step or hop, Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog, one breath in, or cobra. Down dog. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward. High lunge, inhale. Warrior two, exhale. Reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. Down dog. Left leg up, inhale. Step forward. Inhale, rise, high lunge. Exhale, open warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Right through Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. 3 breaths, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more. Lift the heels up, inhale. Look forward, empty the breath out. Hop or step lightly. Half lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. To the sun, rise. To the heart. Okay, separate the feet, bend the knees, chair pose. And in your chair pose, start with the knees back, press the heels apart, finding your outer hip muscles. And let's find an arch in the spine. So we know that finding an arch in the spine or a back bend is what makes King Pinyin more possible, and it's a requirement. So again, we use the postures as a template or a way of learning more about ourselves. So the purpose is to understand our back muscles and our spine more. And maybe the result is king pigeon. But the purpose is to understand this body. So as you press your heels out and move your hips and knees back, now press your hands down and lift your belly up. So your heart is facing forward while your low back is on a ski slope. There's a back bend, okay? So what you should feel if you put your hands back there is a lot of strength in your low back muscles, okay? These muscles are called the erector spinae group. You have a QL, quadratus lumborum, there's two sides of your low back. Now, you want to pick the belly up. What cinches the waistline in is a deep muscle called the transverse abdominals. It has basically fibers that run along the sides of your body, and then it squeezes the front of the abdomen and the back toward one another like a weight belt would, like a corset kind of. And then now you can breathe up here in your rib cage, freeing up the belly to stretch, to get longer. Your back muscles will get tired. They'll get stronger is the point. Okay, now move your arms into that cactus-like shape. Move your shoulder blades together, retract them. Keeping your hips back, keeping your low back engaged and your heart up, reach the arms up to the sky. Let's take a full breath in and a full breath out. Full breath in, full breath out. Two more, inhale. Exhale. One more breath, inhale. Bow forward, exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. That should be relieving, huh? Just bow joyfully, exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Step the left foot back and plant the heel down. Start warming up the hips. Take the hands on the inside of the right foot. Pull your feet toward each other and make sure the back inner thigh is lifted. So it's not dropping down, it's up high, okay? Now move your groins back. And when you do that, your front knee will probably pinch in like this because it's not used to that kind of range of motion. Use your buttocks, press your knee out to the side and press down into your outer heel as you do so, okay? Now it's okay if you undo that for a second to bow forward, your knee will wing in a little bit again. Then you press your knee out to the side and your heel down again to regain strength. Make sure the back inner thigh is lifted. And now you can round your spine a little bit for this pose so we can open up the hips and let the back of your neck release. Let's do two more breaths. One more breath. All right, so lift the back heel up, crisscross your feet, warm up stretch the buttocks and IT band here. So wag your tail straight back and bow forward to any degree. So we can make pigeon a little bit easier. We open up the IT band and buttock muscles. Keep wagging your tail straight back or a little to the left. That's what will give you the stretch, not just in the hamstrings, but also in the IT band, the buttock region there along the outside of the leg. It's also you'll get a little bit of the hamstring, the lateral hamstring. Not a little bit, you will get the lateral hamstring. When you feel your IT band stretching, what that actually is your gluteus muscle stretching, and it just happens to attach at the IT band. So that's what we're trying to target, the buttock muscles, so that pigeon is easier. All right, so we're going to stick with this leg stretching, but we're going to switch it to the other side. So you're going to walk your hands to the center, switch all the way around to the yoga mat. Hopefully your feet are already in the right position to place the back knee down, and then you can take your right hand out to the right. Bend the back knee, reach for a thigh stretch. Okay, once you grab the foot, kick the foot gently into your hand. Okay, once you get that gentle kick of the foot in the hand, see if you can let go of your abdominals and press the belly and heart forward. And you'll notice this bottom shoulder of mine, I try to move it back behind my chest, which is a very challenging action when bearing weight. But if you can do that, then you can probably do it in King Pigeon, okay? So moving the shoulder back, heart forward. Do your best. And if possible, while you're kicking your foot back into your hand, I know there's a lot of things going on in order to sustain the posture. Thus is life, is it not? See if you can keep continuously kicking the foot back into the hand, but breathe, of course,
and subtly bring the foot a little tighter in towards your hip. We have to eventually be able to bring the foot all the way to your buttocks, really, in order to take the pressure out of the shoulder when we're doing the full flip grip of King Pigeon. So what we try to, that might be a long ways away from you, and that's totally okay. So don't try to push it too fast, too soon, especially with flexibility. You can push strength because it's less likely that you're going to get injured. Maybe emotionally it's harder, mentally it's harder, it requires more willpower, but pushing strength tends to be safer. Pushing flexibility tends to be more dangerous. That's where you pull, tear, injure yourself. Okay, release the thigh stretch. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward to plank pose. And you're lower all the way onto your belly. This time, feet a little wide, like we did in the beginning, with your hands back behind you. But this time, you're going to interlace your fingers behind your low back. Slide your hands to your low back and bend your elbows. You might always have to, look at me to see what I'm talking about. Now, shoulders to the ears and then up. They won't touch the ears, but you're going to move in that direction and then up away from the ground. Once you feel that retraction of your scapula that you've been doing all along, then try to keep your elbows pointing to the sky, but then reach your hands up above your elbows. It becomes very hard on the shoulders. They require tremendous flexibility of the front body and strength of the back body. Now pressing the pelvis down, try and lift your heart. Lift your head. 2 more. Keep the pelvis on the ground, feet on the ground, lift the heart. One more. And release. All fours, hands and knees. And tuck toes, downward dog. Let's enjoy a full breath in. And a full breath out. Lift the heels up, inhale, look forward. Empty the breath, hop or step to the front of the mat. Or I guess the back of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Now, interlace your hands behind your back, non-dominant grip. So other pinky on the outside, whichever one you don't normally do. Same thing, slide your shoulders towards the ears, relax them. Now pin the shoulder blades together and then reach the arms back behind you. Keeping that, let's breathe. One more breath. All right, hands to the hips, rise up. Soften. Bend the knees. Press your heels out. With your heels pressing out, your outer hips engaged. Sit low. Now lift the belly, lift the heart up. Again, we want to try to stretch the abdomen as long as we can, so you can use your hands even to pick up the skin of your abdomen, because underneath that is fascia, and that fascia also needs to stretch. Okay, so we pick the fascia up, pick the skin up, and lift it up tall. Now what you get is hopefully your rib cage starts to flare out. We want that right now for back bends. Okay, so breathe into the sides of your ribs. Now take the arms in the cactus-like shape, bend the elbows, shoulder blades pinned together in that retraction type of movement in the shoulder blades. Then reach the arms up. Heart forward, butt back, hands back. So remember, like a bow, the center of the bow moves forward in order to create an even arch. The buttocks and the fingertips are the opposite of the ends of the bow. Okay, so butt back, hands back. One more breath. And bow. Halfway lift on the inhale. Right foot steps back this time. Pivot the back heel down. Walk the hands to the inside of your left foot. Okay, now pulling your feet gently toward each other to move the groins back
And bend the elbows out to the sides and bow, warming up the left hip. Now, once you're down there, I suggest pressing your outer left heel down and pressing the left knee out to the left. Be mindful that the back hip doesn't drop either. Okay, so we're not here to stretch the back groins. We're here to stretch the front hip. So the hips stay up, the pelvis rotates and bows forward. Then you can round the upper back if you like and do a moment of tucking the chin to the chest, since we do the opposite in the back bending practice. Nice to get a moment of that in. All right, now we take the stretch into the outer hip. So walk to the back of your mat and crisscross your legs. Tailbone points straight back. So the left leg is still forward, halfway lift. Exhale and bow. Just enjoy a few breaths here, opening the IT band, the outer hip muscles. Along the path of sustenance, there are many, many challenges. And that is actually part of the gift of life itself. It's just how we deal with those challenges that makes it either a gift or not. But it's entirely up to us. Yes, most, let's say 50% of life is painful, hard, it sucks. There are so many parts of life that are miserable and really just downright painful to be human. But ultimately, when we think about it, we know life is a gift. We know that because we keep choosing to live it. So amongst the challenges, many of those challenges is something that we can change, and that's our mindset, our relationship to those challenges. There will always be pain and heartache and loss. Maybe we can't do anything about that, but a lot of the challenges like muscle engagement, so little compared to those bigger things, right? Walk your hands over to the front of the yoga mat now, all the way around, back knee comes down. You should be right in place already. Left hand out to the side, bend the back knee, reach for the foot. There's so much stress that is unnecessary that we take on just because our mindset about stress is perhaps not productive. It views it as a pain in the butt instead of an opportunity to grow and change and expand, to learn. If we treat everything like a gift in that way, and of course, I'm not talking about the big losses in our life of things that, inevitably we have no control of, but there's some things that when we look at it with perspective, that we really do have control of, and that is our mindset. We may not be able to control the outcomes. We may not be able to control circumstances that we are placed in, but what we can control is our disposition, our mindset about the experiences. And if we can take on a little bit of that, and I'm not talking about the extreme circumstances, but in a lot of circumstances, we have unnecessary stress, not because it's stressful, but because we have a mindset that it's stressful, because it's not, as we have a certain expectation and that's not being met, typically. Okay, releasing the thigh stretch. And stepping back to down dog. Forward to plank pose, inhale. All the way onto the ground. Now, interlace the fingers, non-dominant grip at your low back. Shoulders to the ears and then toward each other in the backside. Now press the pelvis down, reach the toes back, then reach the hands up to the sky. Press the hips down, lift the heart up. Two more breaths. One more breath. And release. Come to all fours, hands and knees. And we revisit that first posture that maybe wasn't the first one, but one of the first postures we did. Take the left leg to the sky And this time, see if you can bend your knee so that your left heel touches your bum. This will make it easiest for you to grab your foot. Now, if you can't touch your heel to your bum, first thing is bring your knee down a little bit and see if you can do it there. If not, it's the hamstrings are perhaps weak in comparison to the tightness of your quads, okay? So that's where you can have room for work, strengthening hamstrings and stretching quads. See if you can reach back and grab your foot. If you cannot, wrap a strap around your foot, okay? And then grab the strap, just like so, and then come on up, okay? Then you're gonna kick back into the hand or the strap and see if you can pull your right shoulder blade towards the spine as you kick back and up. Okay, this is that twisting position with a back bend. Let your shoulder blade move towards your spine as your back foot kicks back and up. Lift your heart up and release. Switch sides. Again, you can wrap the strap around if you need. Bend the knee so you can bring it close to your bum as possible. Okay, then grab your foot. If you get a cramp, I always recommend if you get cramps in your hamstrings when doing that, what that means is your hamstring is too weak compared to the tension of your quads, and it's trying its best. So if you get a cramp, you press your foot down and activate the quad, and that will release the hamstring. The next time you do it, you want to flex your foot. That will at least lengthen the calf muscle and be less likely that you'll cramp again. Then once you have your foot, use your fingers to grab onto your foot, and then you can point your foot from there, okay? Now, roll the top shoulder head back like so. So the shoulder goes back, the heart opens, but I still try to face forward with my torso. Now the foot kicks back and up. Now the thing about these things is I never try to go to my 100% right away because that would stress me out, maybe induce a little cortisol through my system. But I want to go just about 70% and then relax. Right? And then I go 75 on the inhale and relax. Maybe 80 on the next breath in if it feels right. And then relax. So I want to kind of get myself into this pattern. Maybe 85. Last one. Okay, and then release. With back bends, especially, they can be very stress-inducing for some people. It can be very joy-inducing for others, but it depends upon how we relate to those back bends. So to create a positive relationship to back bends, if you just force yourself into it and hold it like, then that's what your body is going to associate with back bends, that it's really hard and it's really tension. So instead, don't be so goal-oriented in the visual outside, but let me go 70%. Breathe there and then soften, you know? All right, so that will start to associate with they're not so bad. And that's a really good, I mean, it's a big step forward from I hate them and I'm stressed out about them to they're not so bad. The next step will be, I think I like back bends. Then it'll be, I love back bends. And then that reward system we were talking about in the beginning will start to kick in. And the body starts to react to that. Instead of clenching muscularly, it opens and it expands. And there's this feeling of like joyousness that resides over the physical form. And you'll see that that changes the way that your body behaves. So important. It's I guess, probably under or never researched. Not really sure. But if you've experienced it in your physical body, you just know it to be the truth. Okay, so take your blocks off to the side or whatever. And you bring your mat up against the wall just for a cushion. I'm going to skip that so for time-wise for me, but you can. You slide your right foot up against the wall like so. Hopefully you can see that. Let me bring this a little bit closer for you. All right, so with the right foot against the wall like this, I'm going to move out of the way so you can see it. Okay, then you take your other foot forward for a thigh stretch. Okay, now this might be enough for you, already intense. Or the next step will be to pull your two knees toward each other so your hips will lift up. and then you press down into your front foot to lift your hands up. Now the foot is still on the wall, so this is a deep thigh stretch for many of us. But you can do a facilitated stretch. By pressing your foot back into the wall, you start activating the quads. And that changes your relationship. Instead of it feeling like this posture is being done to you, when you kick your foot into the wall, you start recognizing that I'm the one doing the posture. And that's a big difference of how your body's going to react. When it feels like it's creating it, and it should feel that way, but it doesn't always feel that way, right? Because the mind is I guess, influencing what the body does, and the body can feel like the mind is against you. So what the body wants to know is that you're for it, so that you're doing this on purpose and that you're doing it out of care. So what we do is we kick the foot back into the wall, and what that does is sends a little signal to the body, say, hey, you're in control. This is your posture. You're creating it. The body softens, even though it's still effort. There's still effort involved in that, right? So sustaining something requires effort. That whole idea of sustenance in the body only happens because of the digestive effort that happens when we put food in our stomach. We work really hard to break it down in order to turn it into energy for us to live. Okay, now last one is pick your belly up and reach your arms from cactus shape. You try to pull your elbows into the wall here and then reach your hands up and back like so. 2 more breaths. One more breath. And release. Hallelujah. Okay, come on out. Now you could always double up the mat 3-4 times if you feel any pain on the knee. Now there are sweet spots where right in the indent where there is very little discomfort. But if you're on either the outside, especially I feel it there, or the inside, you might feel some discomfort from being on the knee. It's just not comfortable for most people. Okay, but right in the center, there's like a sweet spot, and you got to find that. For me, it's a little bit of internal rotation of the thigh that gets there. Okay, now the other thing about that is, bone density takes time. You're probably wondering how I'm doing on a wood floor. That's due to bone density that occurs over time of placing your knee on the ground over and over again. Bone density eventually builds up. In this case, this kind of bone density is okay where it is. It's not in an obstruction of a joint. Okay, so with the foot on the wall, maybe you stay there. Maybe that's enough. Option 2 will be to come on up. Significant increase in the flexibility required and the stretch. And now we start applying the facilitated stretch, the activation of the quads. So kick your foot back into the wall. And then I like to try to lift the abdomen up. When I lift the abdomen up, it starts to pull the psoas, this deep hip flexor, attaches to the inner groin and goes up through about the solar plexus right here. So it attaches to all the vertebrae. When you pick the abdomen up, and the rib cage lifts up, you're kind of tractioning your spine in a way. So it starts to stretch the psoas, which you could feel fascially because you'll start to feel it all the way through the quadriceps when this versus this. A bigger difference in the stretch. Now, pressing the foot back into the wall, hopefully you're starting to feel that muscle heat up as a result. What I'm not telling you about, but hopefully is happening anyway, is the front buttocks is staying active in order to not sink forward. In order to move your hips and body back, your front buttocks is firing up, which is a good thing because we need that for our pigeon pose. All right, so option now. Cactus arms. Try to bring the forearms to the wall. Shoulder blades together, and then reach the arms up. I think it was back in March, was it May or June that we did, release. We did a full 6 classes on King Pigeon because it's that in depth of a posture.
there's so many things going on. There's the hip flexors, the hips essentially that need to be open, the spine that needs to be supple and mobile. That means the abdominal muscles need to be flexible. And then there's the shoulders. So it's 3 parts. I mean, it's the trunk and the extremities on either end that all need to be flexible. That's asking a lot. So now you're going to take the strap. Make sure you can see me fully. Whatever strap you have, blanket, anything, something to grab onto, pull it apart. And now you're going to bend the elbows while you pull it apart. Keep the arms back behind you and try to work the shoulder blades toward each other. Then you can bend a little bit further, work the shoulder blades toward each other. What this should be is a nice stretch across the pectorals, across the bicep muscles here. So the arms are back behind you. I can show you from the side view. And then I can show you from the back view. Okay, now the next step will be to straighten the arms the best you can back behind you, pulling the strap apart. Bend the elbows, rest. Fun stuff, huh? Shall we do it again? Okay. Shoulders back, pull the strap apart. Organize the shoulders so they go up and back, pull it apart. Head up. Then reach back behind you. Still pulling it apart. And release. Whoo, yeah. Feel that. All right, so let's get the rotator cuff muscles a little warmed up too. Hold the tray like you're holding 2 trays in a restaurant. Pull it apart. Shoulder goes up and back, up and back. Now pull it apart and let one side win. Let the other side win. Let one side win. Let the other side win. So what we're doing is strengthening the external rotators of the arm bone, which is what we need when we flip the grip. It's all external rotation of the arm. So those muscles need to be strong in order for that full rotation to happen. Now, let's not talk about just pigeon pose. What's the importance of that in our everyday life? Having strong rotator cuff muscles, that's what keeps your shoulder, this arm bone, in the shoulder socket. That's important for everybody because that's how we have function. Now, if even just a little bit, those muscles start to lose integrity, the arm bone starts to drift a little bit. Hopefully we have ligaments there that hold on, but eventually those ligaments start to become lax as well. And then we limit our range of motion in the shoulder. Our strength, meaning, starts to limit the ability to access strength, starts to become limited, and our movement starts to become limited. And even sensation now, the bones will maybe even choke the nerves. And then eventually we're just limited to things like this. And you've seen it, right? As people get older, they can't move their arms enough. I used to train my grandfather. I lived with him for a short period of time, for 1.5 years or so. And I used to retrain his shoulders to move so that he could reach up and grab things. And it's amazing. It doesn't matter how old you are or how much muscle you've lost, you can rebuild, which is incredible. That's what the power of sustenance is that it's never too late. Like, as long as your body is alive, it is able to change. That's magnificent. All right, so let's get to today's peak posture, which is pigeon with a thigh stretch. Okay, so now it's a bit of a challenging one. You take your right shin forward. Why it's challenging is because most people would do it like this. They would sit on their hips. I guess I got to take this down for a second. Sorry, so you can see the full yoga mat. I think that's gonna do it. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so most people would go like this. They'd sit on one hip and then they take a thigh stretch like this. It's not going to work for King Pigeon. Like, you could do something like this, but you're never going to get into, the full thing. You end up like this, kind of like a cockeyed pigeon, right? So in order to get there into the full thing,
We want to awaken our hip muscles. So the back knee pulls forward, front knee presses down, and you're in essentially like an Anjaneyasana, a lunge pose with your low belly forward. Remember that bow, the belly forward, heart up. Then we turn towards the back leg and see if we can grab for the foot for a thigh stretch. Now, if this is not possible, use a strap or use the wall and do the thigh stretch pigeon at the wall the way that we just did the thigh stretch, okay? And eventually you can bring the foot in closer towards the side. Now, the key is not staying. See, I'm facing you a little bit. The key is to turn the chest back to the center. That's going to be a big stretch for the hip flexors or the fascia that goes from the belly down through the front of the quad when you turn your chest back to the center. Lift the heart up. If you can, one hand goes up. Okay, to sustain that posture, it takes a lot of strength in the hips. Woo! It takes a lot of resilience. Let's try the other side, shall we? So you should really feel it in the buttock muscle of the front leg. Now, the stronger the front leg is, the easier it is for the body to lift up out of it. If the front leg is weak, the body will constantly be falling down, making it very hard to gain range of motion of the spine. It's like the heart and the spine will relax. If it feels like it's falling down, the body's going to get heavy and fall down. It feels like it's rising up, the body's going to rise up. Okay, so let's do it. So pull the two knees toward each other and we try to work thigh stretch. Bend the back knee. Attempt to grab the foot or the strap. If you grab the foot, see if you can bring it in, not at the expense of an injury or anything like that. Turn the belly, oh, this is the hard part, turning the belly back to the front or even to the left a little bit. That's where you're going to get the deep stretch of the psoas all the way through the quads. The hip flexors are going to stretch. That twist back. Now, it's really important to get to the full expression of the posture. But what's really amazing about that is how it targets the psoas and the anterior fascia, the front of the body. Maybe if you have enough strength in the front buttocks, right, there's that space still. Hand can come up to the sky. All right. Very well. Ooh, let's come onto our back. I like a little half happy baby. Half happy baby. And then maybe full happy baby. Hug the knees to the chest. Let yourself settle. Close the eyes as you hold your physical body with gratitude. Thankful for this physical form, the muscles that are within it. Thankful for that energy inside of you that pulses through this muscular system, allowing it to work. Thankful for that part of your mind that is determined to stay connected to your physical form. Part of your mind that is willing to do the work and change your relationship to the intensity of the path of the practice. And stretch out into Shavasana. Option to do constructive rest with your knees together if you'd like instead. Take a full breath in and let it out. Feel the body buzzing with energy. Bring your breath back to your awareness. Awaken fingers and toes. Stretch your arms. Roll to your side. Come up to a seated position. Place the hands at heart center.
And we take this moment to acknowledge and recognize that part of us that is willing to sustain this life, this physical body, the energy within it, the part of us that steps onto our yoga mat each day. So we acknowledge that with gratitude, with celebration, with joy, something to honor within you, within me. And to that we bow. Namaste. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Such a pleasure to share this practice with you. We have one more left for the month of September. There'll be a little bit of time off. And then we start October 3rd, I believe, is the first class. It's a Saturday next week. So looking forward to sharing that practice with you. And yeah, can't wait. So we do have one more. I'll see you on Saturday, I believe is the last one. I'm pretty certain of that. And if anybody's interested in the 200-hour training, it starts October 4th. That's a Sunday. If you want to message me with any questions, happy to discuss with you. And there are a few spots left for the, make sure you grab it. If you open today's email, you can grab the last spots left for the under, I guess the first 50 to sign up, I call it, gets the discount. And then it goes up to $98 after the first 50 people sign up. So we're probably around that number right now. So make sure you open up the email and grab it. All right, everyone, take care of yourself. Bye.